Think about the last time you used your computer. You probably searched for a file, waited forever for Windows to find it, compressed a folder, took a screenshot, sent a file to your phone, maybe even typed the same password for the 100th time. Here's the strange part. Millions of people do these exact same things every single day using slower, harder, or simply worse tools than they need. Not because better software doesn't exist, but because nobody ever told them. So, today we're fixing that. These aren't random apps from the internet. They're tools that can genuinely make your PC faster, easier to use, and a lot less frustrating. By the end of this video, there's a good chance you'll install at least 3 of them immediately. Every computer comes with software. The problem is, most of it is just good enough. Good enough to get the job done, but not good enough to make your life easier. That's where today's list comes in. We spent dozens of hours comparing tools, reading thousands of recommendations, and testing what people actually use every day. Some of these apps are incredibly famous. Others are hidden gems almost nobody talks about. But every single one solves a real problem. So let's start with an app that fixes one of the oldest annoyances in Windows. App 1. Everything. Have you ever known a file exists, but somehow Windows just refuses to find it? Maybe it's an old PDF, a project you finished months ago, or a photo you swear you saved somewhere. You search, wait, and somehow Windows is still working on it. That's exactly the problem Everything was built to solve. Unlike Windows Search, Everything doesn't scan your entire drive every time you type. Instead, it builds a tiny index of your files, so results appear almost instantly. Type one letter, and you'll often see the file before you've even finished the word. It also supports advanced filters, partial names, wildcards, and lightning-fast searches across multiple drives. The best part? Despite feeling unbelievably fast, the app is incredibly lightweight and barely uses any system resources. Once you get used to it, going back to the default Windows search feels surprisingly slow. It's one of those apps that quietly changes how you use your computer every single day. Finding files is one thing, but what if Windows itself could become smarter? App 2. Microsoft PowerToys. Here's a question. Have you ever thought, why doesn't Windows already do this? Maybe you wanted to keep a calculator on top of every window, rename hundreds of files at once, preview a file without opening it, or quickly organize 10 windows across your screen. Surprisingly, Windows can do all of that. It just hides those features inside a free tool called Microsoft PowerToys. PowerToys isn't a replacement for Windows. Think of it as an upgrade pack made by Microsoft itself. It adds dozens of small features that don't seem important until you start using them. One of the most popular is Always on Top. Press a shortcut and any window stays above everything else. Perfect for watching a tutorial while following the steps, keeping a calculator visible, or pinning your notes while you work. Another favorite is Fancy Zones. Imagine splitting your monitor into custom layouts that fit exactly how you work. 2 windows, 3 windows, even 6 if you're the kind of person who somehow has 47 browser tabs open. But here's the funny part. Most Windows users have never even heard of PowerToys, despite it being developed by Microsoft. It feels less like downloading another app and more like unlocking the version of Windows you always wished you had. Speaking of things Windows should have had from the beginning, here's another one. App 3. VLC Media Player. Imagine this. Someone sends you a video, you double-click it, and immediately get hit with an error message. Unsupported format, unknown codec, cannot play file. At that moment, most people start searching random websites for solutions they probably shouldn't trust, or worse, they give up completely. That's exactly why VLC exists. VLC is one of those rare apps that became popular because it solves a problem almost everyone eventually faces. Playing media files sounds simple until you discover there are hundreds of video and audio formats: MP4, MKV, AVI, MOV, FLAC, and countless others. VLC handles almost all of them without asking you to install extra codecs, plugins, or mysterious software from websites that look like they were abandoned 15 years ago. But most people only use a fraction of what VLC can actually do. Besides playing videos, it can convert media files, stream content across a network, synchronize subtitles, record your screen, and even repair certain damaged video files. That's a ridiculous amount of functionality for something most people think of as just a video player. And somehow, it remains fast, lightweight, and completely free. The funny thing is that VLC usually isn't the first media player people install. It's the one they install after every other media player disappoints them, which is probably the strongest recommendation any software can get. Watching videos is easy. Creating them is where things get expensive. App 4. DaVinci Resolve. If you've ever searched for video editing software, you've probably noticed something. Most professional editors aren't expensive once, they're expensive forever. Month after month, year after year, and eventually you realize you're paying hundreds of dollars just to keep opening the same program. That's where DaVinci Resolve enters the conversation, and honestly, it almost sounds too good to be true, because unlike most professional editing software, the free version is actually useful. Not free trial useful, not watermark on everything useful, genuinely useful. Resolve gives you professional video editing, advanced color grading, visual effects, motion graphics, and audio production tools inside a single application. In other words, what normally requires multiple programs is all sitting in one place. That's one reason so many YouTubers, filmmakers, and content creators use it. But the real star of the show is color grading. Resolve's color tools are so powerful that major films, commercials, and television productions rely on them every day, which means the same software used in professional productions can be sitting on your computer completely free. Of course, there is a catch. Resolve expects your computer to do some actual work. Older machines can struggle, and the learning curve isn't exactly beginner-friendly. Opening it for the first time can feel like accidentally walking into a professional film studio. But if you're serious about creating videos, DaVinci Resolve is one of the best free tools you'll ever install. Speaking of things you should protect, let's talk about something far more valuable than your files. App 5. 7-Zip. Here's a file almost everyone has seen before, a zip file, or maybe a RAR file. You download it, double-click it, and suddenly Windows has no idea what to do. That's where 7-Zip quietly saves the day. On the surface, it looks incredibly simple. It extracts compressed files. That's it. Or at least that's what most people think. In reality, 7-Zip supports dozens of archive formats, including zip, RAR, ISO, TAR, gzip, and many more. It can also create its own 7Z archives, which often compress files even smaller than traditional zip folders. That means faster uploads, easier sharing, and less storage space wasted. It also includes strong AES 256 encryption, allowing you to protect sensitive files with a password before sending them to someone else. One small feature, but surprisingly useful. And here's something funny. Many people still use WinRAR, not because it's better, but because they've been clicking close on the trial reminder for the last 10 years. Meanwhile, 7-Zip has been completely free the entire time. No ads, no subscriptions, no expiration. Just one of those tools that quietly does its job every single day. Speaking of things you should protect, let's talk about something far more valuable than your files. App 6. Bitwarden. Be honest, how many websites use the exact same password you've been using for years? 2? 5? Maybe all of them? The problem isn't creating a strong password, it's remembering a different one for every account. And that's exactly why password managers exist. Bitwarden stores all of your passwords inside an encrypted vault. You only need to remember one master password. Everything else is generated, saved, and filled automatically. That means every website can have a completely different password without you memorizing any of them. It works across Windows, Mac, Linux, Android, iPhone, and every major browser. So whether you're logging into your email, bank account, or favorite shopping site, your passwords are always available when you need them. One of its best features is the built-in password generator. Instead of creating passwords like football123 or mydog2022, Bitwarden creates long, random passwords that are practically impossible to guess. And here's something people rarely think about. Most accounts don't get hacked because hackers are targeting you personally. They get hacked because someone reused the same password on multiple websites. Bitwarden quietly fixes that problem before it ever becomes one. We've covered security, Now let's talk about speed. App 7. Brave. Think about this for a second. Your web browser is probably the app you use more than any other. Every search, every YouTube video, every online purchase, every website, it all goes through your browser. And yet, most people never actually choose one. They simply keep using whatever came pre-installed. That's where Brave stands out. At first glance, it looks like Chrome. It feels like Chrome. Most Chrome extensions even work perfectly. But underneath, it's built with privacy in mind. Brave automatically blocks ads and trackers before they ever load, which means cleaner websites, fewer annoying pop-ups, and often noticeably faster page loading. Another feature people love is built-in fingerprinting protection. Many websites collect tiny pieces of information about your device to identify you online. Brave blocks much of that automatically, no extra extensions required. It even includes features like a private window powered by Tor, built-in AI tools, and optional ad rewards if you actually want them. The best part? You don't have to learn a completely new browser. Everything already feels familiar, just faster, cleaner, and a little more private. Of course, every browser ends up downloading files, and eventually one of those files disappears. App 9. Files. Ever tried organizing your computer only to realize Windows File Explorer still feels almost the same as it did years ago? You've probably experienced this. You open 5 different folders, lose track of which tab is where, struggle to compare files, and somehow a simple task turns into a small adventure. That's exactly why Files exists. Files is a modern open-source replacement for Windows File Explorer. Instead of completely changing the way you manage files, it improves everything people already use every day. The first thing you'll notice is tabbed browsing. Just like a web browser, you can open multiple folders in tabs instead of cluttering your desktop with countless windows. Second, it has a much cleaner and more customizable interface. You can change layouts, use dual-pane views, pin favorite folders, and preview files without constantly opening new windows. Third, it integrates smoothly with Windows while adding features Microsoft users have been requesting for years, including better search, cloud drive support, tags, and improved file management. Here's the interesting part. Files wasn't created by Microsoft. It was built by independent developers who simply wanted Windows file management to feel modern. Ironically, many users now prefer it over the default Explorer. Of course, it's not designed to replace every advanced Windows feature, and some enterprise functions still work better in the original Explorer. But for everyday users, students, and creators, Files makes one of the most repetitive tasks on a computer feel faster, cleaner, and surprisingly enjoyable. Sometimes, the best upgrade for your PC isn't a new app, it's replacing an old one you've been using every single day. Finding files is great, but sometimes you need to capture what's happening on your screen. App 9. ShareX. Taking a screenshot sounds simple until you actually need one. Maybe you only want part of the screen. Maybe the web page is longer than your monitor. Maybe you need to blur personal information, add arrows, upload it, and send the link immediately. Suddenly, the inbuilt screenshot tool isn't enough anymore. That's where ShareX comes in. ShareX is much more than a screenshot app. It's an entire screen capture workflow. You can capture a region, a window, an entire scrolling web page, record GIFs, record your screen, and even automate what happens after the capture. For example, take a screenshot, blur sensitive information, upload it to the cloud, copy the link, all with a single shortcut. It sounds like a tiny improvement until you realize you're saving minutes every day, and over a year, that's hours of work you never have to repeat. ShareX isn't flashy. It won't impress your friends, but once it becomes part of your workflow, it's surprisingly hard to live without. Screenshots are useful, but sometimes you need to create something from scratch. App 10. Figma. A few years ago, if someone wanted to design an app, a website, or even a simple interface, they usually needed expensive software. Today, millions of designers open one website instead: Figma. Figma is a design platform built for collaboration. Everything happens in the browser. No giant installation, no sending project files back and forth. Just open a link and start designing together. You can create user interfaces, website layouts, mobile app designs, icons, prototypes, and interactive mockups. But the feature that changed everything is real-time collaboration. Multiple people can work on the exact same project at the exact same time, just like editing a shared Google Doc. That's one reason why so many startups, developers, and design teams rely on it every day. Even if you're not a professional designer, Figma is incredibly useful for planning ideas visually. And once you understand how it works, you'll start noticing that many of your favorite apps probably began inside a Figma file. Speaking of creating things faster, there's one category of software that's changing almost everything. App 11, Microsoft Copilot. A few years ago, if you had a question, you opened a search engine. Today, many people ask an AI instead. That's exactly where Microsoft Copilot comes in. Copilot is built directly into Windows and Microsoft's ecosystem. Instead of searching through 10 different websites, you can simply ask a question in plain English. Need to summarize a document? Rewrite an email? Explain a difficult topic? Brainstorm ideas? Generate an image? Or compare two products? Copilot can help with all of them. But here's what makes it genuinely useful. It isn't trying to replace your computer. It's trying to make using your computer faster. Instead of spending 20 minutes searching for answers, you often get a solid starting point in 20 seconds. Of course, AI isn't perfect. It can make mistakes. It can sound confident while being completely wrong, so you should always verify important information. Think of Copilot as a very fast assistant, not an all-knowing expert. Used that way, it quickly becomes one of the most useful tools on your PC. AI helps you work faster, but what if your computer itself feels slow? App 12, WinDirStat. One day your computer suddenly says, "Storage almost full." So you open your drive, look through a few folders, delete some random files, and somehow you still have no idea what's using all your space. That's because Windows shows folders. WinDirStat shows reality. Instead of giving you a long list of folders, it creates a visual map of your entire drive. Every file becomes a colored block. The bigger the block, the more storage it uses. Within seconds, you can instantly spot giant forgotten games, old video recordings, duplicate downloads, or folders you completely forgot existed. It's surprisingly satisfying, almost like cleaning your room, except your room is a hard drive. The best part? It doesn't automatically delete anything. It simply shows you where your storage actually went. And once you see it, cleaning up your PC becomes much easier. By now, your PC is faster, cleaner, and more productive. But there are a few apps that deserve a place on every computer. App 13, Notepad++. Here's something most Windows users never realize. Not every text file is just text. Sometimes it's a configuration file, a programming script, a log, or thousands of lines of code. That's where the normal Windows Notepad starts to fall apart. And that's exactly why Notepad++ has been around for more than 20 years. At first glance, it doesn't look very exciting. It's just another text editor. But open a large file and the difference becomes obvious. It loads almost instantly, it highlights different programming languages automatically, it numbers every line, lets you edit multiple files at once, search across huge documents, and even extend its features with plugins. The funny thing is, millions of people install Notepad++ even if they never write a single line of code. Because once you've used it, the default Notepad suddenly feels like it's missing half its features. Speaking of things that save time, here's one that almost feels like cheating. App 14, Flow Launcher. How many times a day do you open the Start menu, search for an app, launch it, then repeat the exact same process again and again? It doesn't sound slow until you realize how many times you do it every day. Flow Launcher replaces all of that with one shortcut. Press a key, start typing, and almost anything on your computer appears instantly. Apps, files, folders, calculator, unit conversions, web searches, even custom commands through plugins. Think of it as Spotlight on macOS, but for Windows. The real magic isn't speed, it's momentum. Your hands stay on the keyboard, your workflow never stops. And after a week, opening programs with your mouse starts feeling strangely slow. And finally, here's the one almost everyone should install before they actually need it. App 15, Macrium Reflect. Most people don't think about backups until the day something goes horribly wrong. A failed update, a dying hard drive, a virus, or one accidental click. Suddenly, years of files are gone. That's why backup software exists. Macrium Reflect creates an exact image of your entire drive, not just your documents, everything. Windows, programs, settings, files. If disaster strikes, you can restore your computer almost exactly as it was. Think of it as creating a time machine for your PC. Hopefully you'll never need it, but if you ever do, you'll be incredibly glad you installed it beforehand, because the best backup is always the one you made before something went wrong. And that's the list. 15 apps. 15 tools that can make almost any Windows PC faster, smarter, safer, and a lot more enjoyable to use. The best part? Most people have never heard of at least a few of them. So here's my question. Which one are you installing first? Let me know in the comments. And if you discovered even one app today that made your PC better, subscribe.